Hey, coaches, welcome to Championship Culture. Got a special guest with us today. Cory Johnson is the head football coach at Clinton High School in North Carolina. And Cory is a young up-and-comer in our state. Me and Cory spent a lot of time together the last couple of weeks. We're in the same county, but we're in different systems. So I went out. He was getting to practice, doing his COVID practices, and we haven't got to start that yet. So I just wanted to see one. So I went out and watched him practice. And I tell you what, Cory, you were making them, you were following the rules strictly, and your kids were getting better, and that was super impressive. I'm going to bring all my coaches out. We start in a couple of weeks. I'm going to bring them all out to watch you once, because I just want them to see it, because that's a difficult thing, is to follow those rules and get better. And then you did a little private clinic with me and taught me middle of the field. I just forgot the term. Middle of the field
defense, baby.
Coverage, middle of the field match coverage, and super impressive on your X and O knowledge. But what I really want to get to, Cory has taken over a traditional power, a lot of talent, traditional power, but it was in need of a culture reboot, and he came in and got it done quick, and that's what we're going to talk about today. So, first question, 1 minute elevator introduction.
I'm from Fayetteville. My father is a military man, so obviously Fort Bragg. Played for Coach Richard Bailey at Jack Britt High School. I also coached 5 years with Coach Bailey at Scotland High School. I played my college football at Catawba College. I was all right player there. And then coached with Coach Bailey, was his defensive coordinator for 5 years. And then in 2017, season 18, I ended up becoming the head football coach at Clinton High School, and I reside there now. So that's kind of where I've been and where I'm at.
Good job. All right. Question number 2 is kind of give us your working definition of what culture. You know, it's such a buzzword now, but when you talk about culture, what is the definition? What does that mean to you?
So I kind of divided up, man, and we divided up into 3 different categories as far as culture. The first part is your core values, and this is something that every coach has EDDs, everyday drills. This is something that we talk about every day. This is everyday talk for us. We talk about this every day. Is our core values in our program, and some coaches tend to make it catchy, other coaches tend to make it 2 or 3 words that, capture everything, that you want to have that you value in your program. Mine in particular is EAT, effort, attitude, and toughness. And I'll give you an example of ours, and I'll just go ahead and give you an example of our core values. But we want to give, Urban Meyer was quoted saying, that he's never seen the team that played the hardest not win, So I feel like it's my job as the head football coach to get my kids to play hard, man. And I take pride in that, And so that's our first core value. We want to talk about giving maximum effort on and off the field, in between the white lines, and we want to talk about giving effort all of the time. And that's a word that our kids hear every day. 30 times a day, effort. If a kid doesn't finish a drill, we're going to say you didn't give full effort. We're not going to say finish the drill. We might say you didn't give full effort, finish the drill. But they're going to hear the word effort because that's our first core value. Our second core value is attitude, and we want our kids to have a positive team-first attitude at all times, whether they're having the best game of their life, or whether they're having the worst game, whether us as a team is having the best game that they've ever played in, or whether we're having the worst game. We want them to have a positive team first attitude, man. And that's, that goes big with, you tend not to have as much trouble with the linemen as you do the skill guys, but you got to get in their heads, man. It's example on offense that you're attacking teams differently. The teams might give you different things on offense. So you might not shine as much this Friday as you did last Friday. And that's okay as long as the team is put first, And that's a big one, man, that a lot of programs talk about, but they don't consistently put that out in front, man. We talk about that all the time, man. Your attitude is everything, man. So we talk about that positive team first attitude. The third one is toughness, and that at my school has a big tradition at my school, man, and that's something that we take pride at Clinton of having tradition, and I'm proud to be a dark horse. And the old saying, "Be tough, be a horse," that we had to put that as part of our core value somehow, man. We switched it, and we switched it up a little bit, and we just say we want to be mentally, physically, and spiritually tough. And when we're saying spiritually, we're not talking about in the church or anything like that. What we're talking about is having a positive spirit and not letting people break your spirit. Even as you're going through adversity in life, still having that same spirit. In the physical part, that's self-explanatory. Every coach talks about the physical nature of the game of football. There is a big part of that we want them to play with a certain temperament, man. And we use that word temperament. Like, we want you to play with a certain temperament, certain physicality, man. And so we use that, and then as far as the mental aspect, can you be coached? Do you have a coach me coach attitude, man? I mean, that's a big thing. And coaches have got to have a coach me coach attitude too, including the head coach. You got to be able to all put your minds together to create a game plan, man. I don't have to be the biggest dog in the room. I personally have the best defensive coordinator in the state who coaches with me, man. And he has a lot of good ideas, and I don't shoot him down, man. And so, it goes for everybody, man. And that mental aspect, how you respond to adversity in a game tells a lot about what type of person you are, truthfully. And we tell the kids that, the kids always have this, kids have a saying, and I might not be saying it right, but keep it 100, and I'm going to be real and everything. Well, how you respond in adversity is going to dictate the type of person you are in life. And we talk about that all the time. And what happens is when you get them core values and you put them in, and that's our little equation. Other people have different equations, but in our opinion, when you put them three things together, we operate in the best fashion that we can as a whole program. When we all have a great attitude, when we all put forth the best effort that we can put forth, man. I mean, there's anything else is unacceptable. And when we all are mentally, physically, and spiritually tough, well, man, and it's 50 of us. That's a hard team to beat now, and we believe in that individualized, instruction to the kids. But at the same time, man, we talk to them as a team. We talk to them, when we go in school, if I have to talk, to a kid in school, we're going to talk about effort, attitude, and toughness. I'm going to find a way to bring it back to that, man. So that's the first thing, core values. We feel like that should be in every program, man. I feel that way, man. And it should be there, and it should be from the head coach down. Because a lot of times, as coaches, myself included, our job is to critique, and our job is to be negative, sometimes. You got that, and we have a saying as coaches, in my program, for every one negative, we're going to bring back two positives. And we're going to bring a positive in front of it and a positive behind it. And example, little Johnny can't backpedal. He doesn't backpedal very well, man. And little Johnny starts backpedaling. But he's trying his hardest, man, to backpedal. And he doesn't backpedal very well. Okay. He gets 3 steps in. All right. Instead of saying, little Johnny, you're terrible. You're a terrible backpedaler. In our program, we try to change the lingo of the coaches, and I try to lead, and my defense coordinator does a wonderful job of doing it. And we try to lead and try to let it trickle in with all the other coaches. You say, Johnny, man, you're giving full effort, son. In the first 3 steps of your back pedal were good. Man, we got to work on the back end of that, bud. We got to work on it now. The back end of your back pedal, it's got to get worked on. And if you can communicate, you can relate. If you can relate, you've got the keys in the ignition, bro. Once you relate to the kids, you've got the keys in the ignition, man. So we feel like core values is the first one. The second one is the behavior that you want from your kids. You have got to express that. You talk about the core values, but then you've got to express and give them situations to think about. You dropped the touchdown. Okay. We talk about having amnesia in our program. You drop the touchdown, man, you got to forget about it, bro. You got to move on to the next rep. You got to move on to the next play. It's just the same thing as if you had a bad practice. You got to move on, bro. The next rep is the most important rep. And the behavior that you want out of your kids, man, really comes when you have to respond to adversity. When you have to respond, you want to train a positive response. When you're training the kids to respond positively over the summer, in the weight room, when you're training them to respond positively, and you talk about it all the time, during the game when adversity strikes, they're not responding negatively. They're not turning on each other. They're grabbing each other's arms. And that's the behavior that we want, man. We want kids to respond positively when stuff gets tough. Be tough, be a horse. When stuff gets tough, we want kids to respond in a positive way, saying, man, this is why we play the game. You know, I mean, and coaches, I watch coaches do it all the time, and I'm bad for it. I'm getting better for it. But, you know, we talk about, and I'm bad for this. Now I'm the worst. And my defensive coordinator laugh at me. We talk about what happened last series, and we're on a new series. Why are we still talking about what happened last series, man? You know what I'm saying? And we expect the kids to move on from the last play, but we didn't move on from the last play. So we've got to train that response, the positive response. That's the behavior we want. That's the part that we focus on in my program. You know, of course, being a good scholar, athlete, all that stuff, man, we talk about having good grades. We talk about carrying ourselves the right way in the school building, the right way in public, you know, the right way at the house, man, you know, being the change. But the behavior that we talk about is responding to adversity. And then the third thing that we talk about that we do not let up on, man, is just, we just talk and we preach about being disciplined. People say the word discipline all the time in their program, but they don't define discipline. Being disciplined, you know, playing defensive end and being disciplined is doing 60 reps and reading exactly what you're supposed to read over and over and over and over and over again. That's what you want the kid to do, to be disciplined. Being disciplined is doing your homework when you have homework, man. You know, and we talk about that. You're not being undisciplined. Nobody wants no undisciplined adult. You know, and we talk to the kids about that. Nobody wants an undisciplined adult. Undisciplined adults become unemployable adults. People want discipline in the world, and people need more discipline. And so we talk and we define that, man, and we tell them, you know, that we exactly what we want. And one thing you got to do with these teenagers these days, man, is you got to really draw the picture out for them, bro. I mean, back in the day, people used to have a lot of imagination. These days, man, they want to know exactly why we're doing it. That's, you know, and the kid asks me why, I don't get offended. I tell them exactly why, because I know my why. When a kid asks a coach why and he doesn't, and he gets offended, it's because he doesn't know the why behind what they're doing. You know, I know the why, and I want the kid to know the why. And so we're going to talk about them three things, you know, the core values, your behaviors, man, and that last part. We're going to talk all about them things, and we're going to talk about them all the time, and our kids hear it all the time, you know. And I believe in my heart that in crucial times in games, my kids revert back to our culture. They revert back to that, man. You know, and I believe it wins us games, man. I mean, I truly believe it's the most important thing that you can do in your program is build your culture.
That's awesome, man. All right, third question. What are the three best things you do to build culture in your program? So now we're talking more nuts and bolts type stuff, like some examples.
Yep. All right, three things. The first three things, and so I write down three things, and I'll give an example of each one of them. The first thing that you have to do to build a culture in any work organization, in any team organization, is you have to build relationships, okay? And in building relationships, I'm talking about genuine relationships, man. Your players got to, again, as coaches, we're criticizers. We're negative a lot of the time. That's not right. It's got to be perfect. That's not right. They've got to know you first to love them, man. They got to know you care about them, man. And they've got to know that, man. And it's funny because we had three groups this morning. My lineman group, which is my 10th through 12th grade group, we coached them. My skill group, and we coached them after the lineman group, and then I had my 9th graders. Okay, my lineman group, at the end of every practice, it's mandatory. Me and my coaches to tell the kids you love them, because you don't know when the last time they heard that was. And so we tell kids we love them at the end of practice. So I tell my kids in the first bracket of practice, I say, I love you. And every one of them reply back, love you too, coach. You know why? Because they've been around me for a year or 2 or 3, and they know that that's real. Well, my 9th graders who I've only had for, 2, 3 weeks now, I say, I love you. And they all look at me, or maybe one of them says, I love you too, coach, but he don't want to be the one, the oddball out right there, and that just goes to show you, man, that you have to build them relationships, man. And you've got to show the kids you love them. One thing that we try to do as coaches is, and I got this from Coach Bailey. Coach Bailey did it 1 year at Scotland, one of my first years at Scotland. But one thing we try to do is we try to give the kids a 5-minute spiel of who we are as a person. And we do that to the whole team, JV team, varsity team. Hey, this is who I am. This is where I'm from. This is what my parents did. I came from this, and regardless. And somebody on that team is going to get to know me better on that day, man. And every one of my coaches do that. Every one of my coaches do it. So the kids get to know, who you are, because a lot of times we know who they are, right? From school and from knowing their grades, from checking on them constantly, checking, their behaviors, everything like that. But a lot of times they don't know who you are. And I think that's a big piece in loving somebody. If I asked you, Silas, man, you never met this woman in your life, do you love her? I mean, it's going to be hard to say yes, dog. You got to build a relationship with somebody on both ends for somebody to love you. So that's just an example of how we build relationships. Another thing that we do, talking about relationship building with the kids, is we have a goal sheet. So short-term goals, long-term goals, what you want to do when you get out of school, da-da-da-da-da. And from that, we use that to motivate them. Okay, so like example, I'm in my coaches. I have a coach on my staff right now who wants to be a head football coach. Okay, and so not during practice, not yelling it out loud, but every once in a while I go over there and be like, man, what would you do right here, man? Now, if you were the head guy, you got to, and it's the same thing with players. I got a player, I got a running back right now. I want to be a Division I running back. Well, what are you doing outside of football practice, buddy? I mean, that type of stuff, because then you know what motivates them, bro. You know what makes them go. You know what they want. Okay, you know what they want. I'm going to help you get what you want. This is how we're going to go get it. And when they feel like you care about something outside of winning and them playing football, they'll do anything for you, and they'll play hard for you, man. So the first thing is building relationships, man. That goes for the athletic training staff, everybody in your program, man.
When do you fill out your goal sheets? What time of year do you do that?
We do it at the beginning of the year. So we're building them relationships. So and this goes in order of what we do. Okay. So at the beginning of the year, we are building them relationships, and we constantly build it during football season, right? And during the school year. But at the beginning of the year, that is a priority for us, man. Get to know your kids. And again, as the head coach, I have 5 coaches. 6 now. So I got 6. I just added 1. 4 on JV, and it's just me and my brother on varsity. But I want them 6 guys to build a relationship with 20 kids. There's 70 kids in my program. Okay. So if they build a relationship with 20, 2 of them might have a relationship with this kid. 1 of them might have a relationship with this kid. I may not be able to reach a kid, but it's important that somebody reaches them. I don't have to reach all of them. I'm going to try to reach all of them. But that kid might feel more comfortable talking to Coach McFadden. And, that's why we have to build relationships with all of them, man. I mean, that's the biggest thing, man. And coaches miss that part of building relationships with the kids, man. They miss that part. And then they wonder, in the fourth quarter, when it's nut crunching time, man, they wonder what happened in the game. How did that game fall apart from us? Why did this happen, or why did that happen? Well, it happened because your culture's not strong, man. And, the strongest culture wins. We have that saying. Is that realistic? I think it is. Do I think Jimmy's and Joe's matter? Yes, I ain't a fool now. I mean, it takes players to win championships, man. But we believe if the teams are about even, the culture is going to take over, man. And we will say it during the game, man. We get the fourth quarter. Let the culture take over, baby. Let the culture take over. This is what we're built for. So building relationships, that's the first thing. The second thing is draw the line, man. Draw the line. And what I mean by draw the line is we're not drawing the line. I tell my kids, imagine, we're not drawing the line. We're drawing the line right here, and it's in permanent marker, bro. It ain't moving. This is what happens if you get in trouble, man. And it don't matter who you are. It don't matter, and it don't matter what week it is. If we're about to play Wild Rose Hill or East Duplin, it doesn't matter. You get in trouble in school, these are the repercussions. You get in trouble out here, this is the repercussion. And we have a list of rules called the law that has felonies, minors, and misdemeanors on it. And, it's posted in the locker room. We talk about it all the time. I mean, it's not something that goes away. In the biggest weeks of the season, we revert back to our culture. And we go back to that. In the biggest weeks of the season, they're all big, man. Every one of them are big. But the bigger the game, the more we revert to the culture, because that's what got us to that game. So we draw the line, man, and that is not biased to any player. And it's so unbiased. And, you can't coach them all the same. That is true. You cannot coach them all the same, but they can all follow the same rules. That's very true. That's the truest thing I ever heard. I don't remember what coach. I heard an assistant coach from a college say that. You don't coach them all the same, but they can all follow the same rules. And that's the truth. And we draw the line at my spot, man. And we think that that's part of being disciplined. That's part of being a dark horse. That's part of being in our program, in our culture. And we use positive peer pressure to discipline our players, man. I tell my kids, if we get past week 4 and I'm still hounding about our culture, then I ain't doing my job. We get to week 4, you guys should be, inserting the culture into the team. You should be holding each other accountable. And I tell my kids, and they take pride in it. Anything that you guys say is worth twice as much as the same thing that I said. So example, our first pillar of our core values, E, effort, right? If the kids are saying, hey, man, that's not full effort, that's worth twice as much as than when I was saying it. So the kids, they get it. And when you say that as a coach, I'm like, that's correct. That's right, buddy. That's right. And I'm giving positive reinforcement to him because they're holding each other accountable. The standard is the standard, man. And when the coaches hold the coaches hold the coaches accountable, the players hold the players accountable, coaches hold the players accountable, then everybody's where they're supposed to be at as far as the drawing the line, the discipline part. The third thing is compete, man. We don't look at things, and when I was a younger coach, I looked at things as my team versus your team. And, sometimes I might even juice the other team up a little bit, and I know coaches do that, man. Juice the other team up a little bit just to get your players to play hard. That's wrong. In our opinion, in our culture, that's wrong. We're not going to talk about the other team. And I know I've worked on that over the years. I'm working on it now. We shouldn't be talking about the other team, man. What we should be talking about is the opportunity that we have this Friday to compete. That's what we should be talking about. Because regardless of how bad the team is, if we show up at our best, then we can live with the result. So that's what we talk about, the opportunity to compete. Instead of saying, oh, this is the state championship game. Oh, my goodness, we're in the state championship game. We're saying we got a game on Saturday. Let's do what we got to do on Monday to be the best version that we can be on Saturday. We're not talking about who we're playing. We're not talking about, the other team, unless we're scouting them. We're talking about us. This is how you're gonna score on Friday night. This is how we're gonna stop them on Friday night. We're not saying, hey man, we're playing this team this week, because then when you start doing that and the kids start holding the kids accountable, when you're playing a lesser opponent, the kids still play hard. And then when you're playing a tough opponent, that meter, because teams' meters go like this. Okay, I want my team's meter to do that. I want to continue to go up. Teams' meters do this. Teams have bad games. Everybody has a bad game throughout the year, man. It happens. Okay, but when the bad game happens, I want my kids to be thinking about compete. Not I'm having a bad game. Compete. Next rep. Compete. And so that's a big thing for us, man, in our program, man. We are super on that, man. We are on competing. competing and being the best version that we can be, and we can live with the result.
That's awesome, man. You know, I do this podcast just so I can steal ideas on how people culture. I'm gonna be stealing. Besides match coverage, I'm gonna steal some of your culture stuff too. All
Yes,
right,
sir.
fourth one, and this one's funny because you're a young guy still, man, but you got a lot of wisdom. What do you know now that you wish you would have known when you first got started? That I haven't asked that to a 29-year-old before, but you got a lot of wisdom, so let me hear it.
The first thing that I wish I would have known, you know, because when I was 22, coaching with Coach Bailey, I was the defensive coordinator. The first thing I wish I would have known at that time, man, was how good of coaches I were around at that time, man. I was around on Coach Bailey's staff at that time, man. He had, you know, then Scotland's probably got 15 coaches, okay? But on that varsity staff, man, he had at least 6 of them, I want to say 6, that went on to be head coaches. That's including me, or were already head coaches working with Coach Bailey. And that's not including Coach Bailey. He had 6 guys working with him that were going to become head coaches or were already proven head coaches. And I you know, I always soaked the knowledge and everything like that, but I never sat in the moment, man. One thing that I know now that I wish I would have known back then is Christopher Degg, who was one of my big role models in high school, said this to me one day, and it just stuck with me. Be where your feet are. And, man, them years back then, bro, I was just living day-to-day, dog, coaching ball, man, and I wasn't where my feet were, though, man. I won't enjoy and relishing every moment that we all had together, man, because it was a good staff. And that now, as the head guy, I try to tell my assistants, you know, be where your feet are, man. Just because you never know, man, tomorrow, you know. And at the same time, you know, every year is a different year. Every game is a different game, man. You know what I'm saying? Chris Mesker told me at Pinecrest, head coach at Pinecrest, he said, and he's a culture stud, man. I got some of my culture stuff from him. But he said, no matter how big, no matter how small, celebrate every victory. And I think he got that from Dabo Swinney. I don't know who he got it from. You have to ask him. But that right there is something that I wish I would have known back then, man. And that I try to do now. Other things, you know, that I wish I would have known back then is that at 29, bro, I'm a lot slower than I was at 22, bro. I can imagine how I'm going to be at 59. So I need to, at 22, I needed to enjoy my youth. And at 29, I do too, man. And be where my feet are, enjoy my youth, relate to the kids, man. And you know, everything else take care of itself.
That's awesome, man. We've had Chris on this thing, so he's got a lot of good stuff. But
God, he's a stud, man.
Last one. There's gonna be some guys who want to get up with you. Best way to contact you. I know you're active on Facebook.
Yep.
Are you a Twitter guy?
Best way to contact me, man, and this is whole honesty, man. 910-405-0772. If you're a ball coach, bro, I will talk ball anytime. I enjoy it. Hey, man, I'm a single man, and I talk ball all the time, bro. I enjoy it, bro. I ain't got no kids, dog. So the best time, man, is you call me, man, because the internet, man. As soon as football season starts, I don't look at the internet, man. There's stuff on the internet that's poison, man. Rat poison, man, as Nick Saban would say.
That's a good philosophy right there.
Yes, sir.
Anything you want to promote? Anything you want to talk about?
One thing I do want to tell everybody, man, is that the Salas channel is a very good channel, man. I have watched it. I've learned some things off of it. The big thing, man, that I like what you do, man, is you're honest, you're who you are, and on top of that, man, you promote culture. And I'm telling you guys, if you're a guy that, you know, if you're a guy that hasn't thought about this culture stuff, please think about it, man, because it is the best thing that you can ever do, man. To be honest, my last year's football team is not the most talented football team I had ever coached, man. We went to the Eastern Regional, and we lost our best player the third game of the season, man. There was only one Division I player on the team, and he was hurt. And I watched our culture take us to the Eastern Regional, man. And it took good players too. You know, we had good players, but man, they were so easy to coach. When you have a great culture, it makes the workplace a lot easier, man. the kids are just more apt to be coached. They just hold each other accountable. So in school, they stay out of trouble. You know, it makes our job so much easier, man. And I think it's the most important thing that you can do with them kids is install that culture in them, man. So 5 or 10 years down the road, you could go talk to that kid about the same thing that you talked about 10 years ago, and he can relate it to life, man. The last thing that I want to promote, Dennis McFadden, go follow him on Facebook, man. He's my defensive coordinator, and he has a training line called Gas Training. You can get different workouts and stuff for your players, okay? He has a lot of apparel, stuff like that, and he trains people all over the state, man. He is a very, very good trainer of mind, body, spirit, man, to get your kid to respond the best way up here. Because when they go to college, that's what them colleges do, man. They train them up here, bro. You know, and we as coaches, we've got to do more of training the kids up here. You know, physically, they're going to be able to do it, man. They're going to do what you ask them to do. But we've got to train them more mentally, man, mentally, physically, and get their minds ready for the real world, man. One love to everybody, man. I always say that. One love, baby.
That's Gas Training, and the best way you get up with him is on Facebook.
Yes, Dennis McFadden. And McFadden is with 2 T's. He's my defensive coordinator. He does all my training over the summer, all my mind training with the kids, everything. You know, we do take 10 minutes every day, and we give him a situation, and we talk to him about a situation. You know, how to respond. He can help you with them type of things. He can also help you with your athletes. You know, he does specific training with athletes to get them more mobile. And to get them faster, he does training. He does training sessions, weightlifting sessions. He trains all my athletes, of course, because he's on my team. But he's accessible to all you guys via Facebook, man. I'm telling you, it's the best thing. He trains me, man. I'm a weightlifter guy. He trains me, my mind, body, and my spirit, man. It's very real, man.
I've seen some of your videos on Facebook. You two working out, so I know he's pushing you. I see you in there sweating.
Yes, sir.
Man, I appreciate you coming on and doing this. Like I said, I'm going to steal a lot of your ideas and your match coverage. I'm going to steal it all, man. And
love it, man.
You did a great job. This thing will be on in about 3 or 4 weeks. It comes out every Saturday, so it's going to be about 4 weeks before it comes out. But you did fantastic, and I appreciate you coming on, man.
Ain't nothing to it, Salas. I'm going to holler at you, baby.
All right, man. Thanks a lot.
Yes, sir.